Hi, and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this reading, I'm going to be looking at what's going on with the runner in your connection right now. There are three groups to choose from. Group 1 is the clear quartz. Group 2 is the apatite. And group 3 is the green calcite. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to, I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling cards in between groups to clear the energy of the group I've just read for and tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So again, I'll give you a minute. Please use the timestamps and we'll get into your reading. Hi, Group 1. You chose the clear quartz. So I'm going to start with some tarot cards and clarify with oracle cards and see what's going on with your runner right now in this connection. Okay, we've got the Two of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Nine of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Queen of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Page of Swords, so more air energy. The Lovers, which is Gemini, and the Empress, which is Taurus and Libra. So this Two of Wands, it feels that dreams may be very heavily factoring into the connection at this point in time. It feels like in addition to kind of dreaming of you at night, this person is really dreaming about moving towards you, dreaming about what would that look like if I were to reach out, if I were to take action in this direction. A lot of mental energy, a lot of contemplation, a lot of kind of just feeling very much at a distance, not really ready to take action steps forward yet, but at the same time thinking about this a lot, ruminating about this a lot, fantasizing about this a lot, perhaps even watching you from afar with the idea of Page of Swords here. Also with the Scorpion here at the bottom, Scorpio can be significant, but that can also tie into this idea of like death and rebirth, giving a lot of thought to what that might look like, a reimagining of this connection, a reinvigoration of this connection. A lot of looping round and round in the mental space, almost obsession or rumination at this point in time that may be causing them a lot of distress, desiring a way forward, but not necessarily recognizing or the concrete steps necessary to achieve that, or willing to take those steps in the material plane. You might be picking up a lot on this energy, almost this electricity that is emanating from this person. It feels that they, in kind of the mental space, are really magnetizing you towards them. They may be popping into your mind a lot. Again, dreams factoring in very heavily at this point in time. All of that really evidence of the extreme degree of thought that is going into this. It almost feels like something where they're running themselves in circles. They're running themselves ragged with this energy, this kind of very kind of direct, almost scolding themselves for the behavior in the past, coming to a lot of clarity about what was kind of lost within this connection. There's a neediness to this energy as well, where, you know, they're kind of suffering in silence, not yet at the point of being willing or able to kind of take action steps forward, but just almost kind of in their head a lot, maybe really withdrawn from other activities with people, spending a lot of time alone, sleeping a lot, maybe even going through like a heaviness, kind of the coupling of depression and anxiety in this situation. But again, not really focused on solutions or the steps that are necessary, kind of just operating in this very wounded child stance at this point in time. Almost like this person is pouting or almost feeling like they're kind of the last picked, and yet at this in sort of like a like in school, like when kids are kind of picking teams for some kind of activity at recess, and they're feeling like the kid who was picked last, only they're failing to recognize that because of the context of this reading, and this person is the runner, that they in fact have fled from this situation. So a little bit of self-pity that is going on at this point in time. It is a very necessary stage in evolving beyond these circumstances, but they're still just kind of ruminating round and round that kind of factor of this kind of draw that they feel towards you, of this almost this wish fulfillment that they feel with you in a lot of ways, but a lot of avoidance that may be going on at this point in time, as far as really admitting fully their role in this situation, or if they're addressing their role in this situation, it's almost that they're chastising themselves, that they can't stop obsessing about this, they can't stop thinking about this. It's almost like a sinking feeling that they can't stop just kind of circling round and round, rather than seeking opportunities for change or looking for ways to make this better. There's a degree of almost running from that core aspect of self, which had caused them to run from this situation in general, that it's just easier for them to operate in kind of that mental space, that round and round, that kind of rumination, that circular thinking, and kind of blame and regret for what has taken place in this connection in the past, but not really at the point of looking for solutions, seeing a viable way forward, desiring that kind of way forward, desiring almost to be kind of back in your good graces, back in your company, almost like wishing that things could have turned out differently, but at the same time really failing at this point in time to recognize their own ability to course correct in the situation, but a lot of mental energy that is being invested at this, kind of suffering in silence, very quietly, kind of a dreamy energy, a daydreamy energy, where it may really be perceived by others in their reality as they're disconnected. There's almost an element of moodiness here, where they may be, just not really participating fully, not being very present in other connections in their life. This can be in dealings with family. This can be with friends. This can almost be distractions, like this energy, this kind of rumination is distracting them from even focusing on their work. They may be making a lot of mistakes, calling in sick for work a lot, just spending a lot of time alone, or just kind of, doing the bare necessities of what they have to do in their day-to-day reality, and then kind of going home to withdraw into themselves, a very pensive energy, a very moody energy. If they are in a third-party situation, if they're in a romantic connection with another person, it feels that that individual is almost sensing the distance within this person as they're just kind of circling round and round these thoughts within their mind. And there's an element of frustration with this as well, where as much as they try, they can't disconnect themselves from kind of thinking back on the past, thinking about you. They can't stop themselves from looking you up online, looking at your photos, Googling you, seeking you out, going back over the catalog of memories that they have in the mental space. And it's something to where it's almost, it's this question that just can't be answered. They don't know why they can't detach from this. They may have, felt that it was very much the right decision to run from this situation for a period of time. This may have felt that they were moving in the direction of wish fulfillment with this Nine of Cups, but they're kind of unable to fully step into that energy. There's something that is really kind of tethering them to this kind of crossroads point with the Two of Wands, a decision that was made to run. It's something from the past, and that kind of element of what happened here that is not relinquishing its hold upon them. So if you're having a very hard time kind of getting this person out of your mind, you're having a very hard time directing your focus elsewhere, if this is almost kind of operating at a disservice to other sort of responsibilities and things you need to do, if this is very mutual energy, it's almost like two people kind of pivoting off each other. A lot of unspoken words, but a deep kind of a tangle almost, or a tie in that kind of mental space, energetically speaking. A lot of this kind of like round and round thinking, but without really recognizing sort of the core lesson of what's to be learned out of this circumstance, and particularly as far as this individual is concerned. They almost just are stuck in this loop of kind of that element of running it's also tying into an evasiveness as far as what needs to be done to kind of smooth out this situation. Maybe it's in the form of some kind of an apology to you, to work toward that kind of restoration and repair. Maybe this is something where, if that's just not possible between the two of you in this lifetime, then this is some kind of inner child wound that they are failing to really recognize, and to start to do the work of healing as to what motivated them in the past to conduct themselves in this way in this connection. What motivated them in the past to run from you rather than, express themselves emotionally, or to detach in kind of in a healthy and mature manner from this circumstance. There's something that they're still kind of avoiding and just sort of circling the perimeter of, aware of, but not fully stepping into that action mode as far as doing something about this, freeing themselves from this kind of cycle or this tangle internally and in terms of kind of the dynamic with you. So I'm going to get a few oracle cards to get some more clarification about this for you. Okay, we've got liberation, creativity, inspiration, productivity, creation, bring out the greatness within, and 1. So this idea of 1, as well as this kind of vase or vessel here on the liberation card, really does speak to and confirm that idea of this person being very withdrawn energetically and emotionally at this point in time from other things they have going on in their life. Kind of this period of not even withdrawing to process the connection, but it almost feels that they are so overwhelmed that they're in this kind of mode of shutting down. As much as they have shut down to you and the connection in the past, they have run from this situation. The gravity of that has not stopped with their interactions with you. It's some kind of a trigger within this person that had caused them to sort of shut their heart off or to run from the invitation to open and explore these feelings more deeply. That now that mechanism has kind of been activated within them, it's something that is needing to be addressed, that kind of the longer that they are taking avoiding this kind of core aspect, this core element of themselves, a tendency or a trend within them maybe to kind of do this, to kind of end relationships in this manner, or to kind of take this approach when they're confronted with opportunities for deep intimacy with another. It's continuing to kind of manifest in other ways, where they feel so overwhelmed that they're just shutting down, unable to really enjoy fully kind of the company of other people around them, feeling very isolated, very alone as well, even within kind of crowded situations. A lot that's really bottled up and repressed within this person, that's almost, I'm hearing, reaching maximum capacity. So this kind of the velocity, the force, the friction of what is being created by just ruminating, by just circling. It's almost, they're backing themselves into a corner in this circumstance, in this situation. That as much as they're trying to kind of run and shut down from external circumstances, external situations, they are in essence kind of inevitably just sort of leading themselves to that point of confrontation within, which is the necessary point of change to be able to, provide some kind of restoration in this circumstance, in this situation, to also be able to kind of change internally within themselves, so that they can learn from this experience, so that they can grow from this experience, so that they can break out of this, kind of this pattern that they've been circling around, maybe as a tendency in terms of romance in their life in general. It feels that this person is also very creatively blocked at this point in time. Again, not recognizing solutions to kind of change this sensation within, or the experience between the two of you in a material sense. This can be with that reference to productivity, again, really kind of taking its toll on their professional life, on kind of the harmony in other partnerships that they are experiencing. As this person is really withdrawn, this may be causing, people to kind of also distance themselves from this person, that they, kind of slowly, people are gravitating out of their life, out of their reality. This idea of being very shut down, it seems to be creating tension in other sort of circumstances in their reality. And it's almost this idea of this person just sinking further and further into themselves at this point in time, not actively taking the steps to seek out and sort of heal these triggers or these wounds within them, but being almost kind of sucked into that void within themselves, almost against their will at this point in time, or being really kind of, forced, or it's almost reinforced, this kind of, this energy of rumination, because they're lacking almost the ability to fully apply themselves or to be very present in other situations in their life, whether that's work, family, friends, other romances that require them to be present. So not only are they running from you, but it also feels that other kind of opportunities for fulfillment or companionship in their life are also retreating from this person. So the vibration of what they are putting at right now is a very repellent vibration, that they have, almost pivoted themselves away from whatever was to be kind of meant or learned and experienced, was meant to be kind of experienced in the connection with you, the way in which they handled it, running rather than, again, kind of expressing in a mature and open manner. If they were feeling pressure, if it was feeling very intense, if it was something that they just, weren't prepared for, if they just kind of ghosted you or blocked you. That sort of vibration within themselves, it continues to just kind of cycle and kind of circulate around them. And it's emitting this frequency where they are no longer calling in other opportunities for themselves. They're actually pushing away wish fulfillment and the blessings that they may have had at one point in time. These things are being repelled in other ways, forcing this person to kind of go deeply within. It's almost like somebody who's kind of feigning ignorance at this point in time. They're just circling round and round this kind of this core truth and this core reality of something within them that is that is damaged, or that they perceive to be very deficient, that had been kind of the motivation for their actions in this connection up to this point in time. And the longer that they kind of ignore the obvious, it's almost like other things are kind of distancing themselves from this person, so that there's nowhere else to look. There's almost nowhere else to run. As much as they're running, they're really just being pulled very deeply into themselves, kind of shutting down into this shell, where there's kind of reaching this point of no choice but to confront these things within themselves, these voids or deficiencies within themselves that had caused them to act in a particular manner in this connection with you. And it feels like almost just as kind of a greater theme in their life in general, that this is someone who's at a pivotal point, a crossroads point. Change is necessary. And it's almost that through kind of what's been set in motion with the connection with you, with their behavior and conduct with you, it's setting a larger kind of cycle in motion, something that needs to be resolved within them, that they're still trying not to look at, and yet are being pulled closer to that point of recognition and realization, despite their best efforts to the contrary. So I'm going to get a few messages from this person's higher self and see what do they want you to know right now. Okay, and they say, my heart keeps coming back to you, even though I know you've lost faith in me. So that is a confirmation right there of that circular thinking, that cyclical thinking. They can't get this out of their mind. And it feels like a full range, almost kind of like a very regular and repeating pattern of the nature of thoughts that they have in this regard. Feelings of joy, feelings of anger, feelings of denial, feelings of being very magnetized, very drawn to you. And it feels like almost in the same way that, kind of the cycle of sunrise to sunset is very predictable within a 24-hour day, that this is something also that it has taken on this nature within them. It's a very predictable course that they kind of circle round and round and round in that mental space as far as everything that has happened in this connection. And it's adding to this increase of frustration within them, why they can't just get over this, why they can't get this out of their mind, why they can't find some kind of solution, some kind of a way forward, why they can't, almost silence this kind of imagery that comes up, or these, even just these words or these feelings or these sensations within them that kind of bring that attention back to you. A lot of almost moving back and forth between feeling very frustrated and really trying to push against this, and at the same time just being kind of overwhelmed and overcome, almost reaching the point of exhaustion, maybe literally by the end of the day, you know, kind of as they finish their day, they finish work, they come home, you know, whatever that looks like, and then it's just kind of, it's shut down, because all throughout the day it's a struggle to kind of focus on the tasks at hand. There's so much mental energy that is being invested in like two different directions. There are the mundane sort of concerns that they are needing to attend to, that they are needing to address, and then there's this whole other energy, like an itch that can't be scratched, that keeps bringing the focus, it keeps bringing that mental energy back to the situation with you, how it was handled, the fact that this person has run, that every kind of moment that goes by, they continue in that energy of running, that their higher self will not let them just kind of escape unscathed from this situation. There's something that they are needing to see and to recognize as far as what motivated this conduct, what motivated them taking this approach to the situation. Why are they still kind of continuing in this stance as time marches on? And so a lot that is being kind of invested and pulled at within this person that is almost depleting them energetically, is making it very difficult to be fully present and to fully kind of enjoy the blessings and the experiences that they have going on right now in their life. And as a consequence, because of that vibration, it feels like these things are almost kind of starting to fall away, or starting to kind of dissipate from their reality, which is sort of adding to that frustration. There's less and less to adequately distract themselves from this kind of circular thinking, this cycle of kind of rumination and round and round. They also say, I have awakened to our connection. I know we have a timeless bond between us. So there's that idea of time again, and kind of this, the cycles of the day. There's a very regular kind of pattern and progression to how they are thinking of this connection, how they are feeling this, how they are really, you know, kind of reviewing the past, or their mind is kind of being brought back to what has happened with you previously. And it feels that there's an equal kind of measure, there's an equal amount of time where they're fighting this and really kind of falling into it through the course of the day. But that every day it almost just resets. They build this new, they kind of almost wake up with this new resolution of, I'm not going to think about this. I'm over this. I'm content with the decision that has been made in this circumstance. And then just very, almost in a way, I'm hearing needling, that these thoughts kind of just sort of pick their way into this person's mind and into this person's awareness. It's almost when they come out of that liminal space, that dream space, into their conscious waking reality, it begins this progression of just bringing this awareness to something that they are needing to see, something about the nature and intensity of what has been stirred and awakened within them, that they're failing to kind of take advantage of very fully. They're failing to really see the lesson or step into this transformational period. They're trying to just kind of carry on as if, or to carry on in an old way of doing and being. And as much as they try to avoid that, it's this ever-present reality that in some way, as much as they may still be in denial about it, they have been fundamentally changed by the interaction with you and with this connection. They also say, it's always been you. I don't know how to tell you the truth. I want a new beginning. So confirmation of that idea of wishing things were different, but not feeling very proactive to do anything about that, not recognizing a way forward out of this situation, maybe just focusing on obstacles, on what's happened in the past, on what currently stands between the two of you. Pride and ego may still be a factor, may still be an issue. It really feels that the way forward in this situation requires this person to do some deep soul searching, some deep dive within that they are avoiding. They're not recognizing or kind of connecting the dots fully to what has happened in this circumstance with the two of you, where you find yourselves currently, and what may or may not be possible in the future, that the key to that really lies in their own kind of personal healing. But it does feel that they are being almost propelled into this energy, though. As much as they're kind of circling round and round, they've created this vibration that is almost very repellent to other things in their life at this time, that even if this is not by choice, they are almost being pulled into that space internally within themselves, into that shell, into that period of withdrawal, into that period of not being as present in their kind of surface level reality as they once were, or as they would like to be, or others would like them to be. And it's in that space of just kind of the quiet within that realizations, epiphanies, and kind of the way forward can be shown to them as they are kind of cycling around in this sort of mental energy, and this in kind of the realm of the subconscious. There will be other things that they are confronted with, that at a certain point in time, kind of that that orbit that they are circling around, that kind of obsession, that rumination, it starts to take on kind of a wider lens, and then the dots are almost connected to these other aspects within self, patterns and tendencies, with what has happened in this situation, and kind of how that's reflective of other experiences in romance, other things from their childhood maybe that might have really spurred this kind of reaction to this situation. So at this point in time, it's bringing to mind this person is kind of like a car engine that has been turned on after a long period of time of just kind of sitting in a garage somewhere, and it's needing almost this period of time to really warm up, to get all those pistons firing and moving, and just kind of sitting idle at this point in time. No choice but to just really get into this space of being very present in this reality. As much as they have tried to kind of run and kind of escape this, it's as far as they have gone, they have been unable to fully extract themselves from it. It's the energy of this, the reminders of this, the thoughts of this are coming at them from all different angles at different points throughout their day, and even at night through dreams. And so this feels to be something where, you know, the nature of change is undetermined, but this feels like somebody who is at least energetically kind of being prepared to embark upon some sort of major change, whether that is, you know, tower moments and some kind of a dark night of the soul as they're withdrawing more fully into themselves, and people and things are kind of becoming more distanced from their reality, opportunities, friendships, other kind of relationships. And again, there's no choice then but to go within and to start to do that work within self, or whether this is something that, you know, through the level of discomfort, this person decides to become proactive, decides to start looking for solutions, rather than just kind of surveying what is happening and feeling very helpless in this circumstance. That they have definitely been activated by this situation. And as much as they may have run from you, there has been kind of a lasting effect. Something has really been turned on that they are unable to fully kind of turn off from at this point in time. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got F, B, G, J, Q, and V. So those are your messages, Group 1. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I've also started a second channel here on YouTube. It's called Lady of the Dawn Tarot, and there's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format there is a little different from here. I do pick-a-cards as well as general energy check-ins, but the topics that I cover are related to spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out, and I thank you for helping my new channel to grow as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the Apatite. So I'm going to start with tarot, and then I will clarify with some oracle cards. And let's see what's going on with your runner right now. The runner in this connection. Where are they at energetically in the mental space in terms of this connection and in their life in general? Okay, we've got the Three of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Ten of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Two of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Page of Pentacles, which is earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Nine of Wands, so more fire energy. And Page of Cups, so more water energy. So, looks like this person is sitting in a lot of heaviness right now. If they had involved you in a third-party situation, if they had made you feel like an option or had chosen to return to a previous partner or move in another direction, it feels like that for some of you, that connection that they had chosen to move in the direction of has unraveled or may have really come to a conclusion. The sort of idea of contentment and happiness that they had thought that they were moving toward has come crashing down, or it is really starting to unravel. There may be a lot of tension within that situation right now that is kind of reinforcing for this person a sense of kind of a wrong choice having been made and a lot of regrets about that. Not really sure how to kind of move beyond this circumstance. They may be even having difficulties at this point as far as untangling themselves from that other circumstance. feeling very much lacking or at a loss, very fearful to come towards you at this point in time because of what has happened in the past versus what they feel they have to give at this point in time. So this feels like someone who may be kind of going back and forth, kind of between the head and the heart here. You know, should I come forward? Should I try and make amends? Should I just kind of leave the situation alone and continue along the path of kind of running or fleeing from this connection that I had embarked upon up to this point in time? Even if this is something where, you know, a third-party situation is not involved in terms of another physical person, this may have even been somebody who ran from this connection because they didn't necessarily want to settle for the first thing that came along. They questioned kind of the intensity and nature of the connection. They may have had their kind of sights in terms of their forever person or what they deemed to be, you know, a successful partnership, that may have been based on things that were more materially based. In some way, the two of you might have been kind of an opposites attract situation, or it felt that, you know, the timing was off. They were maybe operating from kind of an emotional immaturity. Some of that may still really be kind of existing at this point in time, that this is kind of an obstacle to creating change in the circumstances. And, you know, again, if they had chosen not to invest in this connection, to just keep the options open, play the field, you know, explore those options a little bit more, it feels that something with that has kind of, it's reached a point where they're feeling very lonely. They're not really finding what they were out seeking. That they're really coming up with a lot of, it feels like wasted time is the sense that they are really having as far as their experiences and encounters with other people. A sense of wherever they are at, no matter how much time has gone by since kind of that crossroads point where this person ran from you. There's a sense of that so much time has gone by, even if it's been relatively speaking a short amount of time, that it feels like a very difficult or arduous task in order to move back in the direction of you and making a different decision in this connection. That whatever they had chosen to invest in, even just keeping those options open, it's turning out to just be almost this energy of kind of illusion or mirage. It's something that is really just it's revealed itself to be kind of lacking in substance with the kind of dreamy energy of the Ten of Cups. It's the idea of you know, kind of these seeds or these intentions or these hopes or these fantasies that they had. It is not really delivered into anything very substantial. They may be in a period right now where they're very alone, maybe single, they're not with anyone. Again, if they had been in another partnership, for a lot of people, that has come to an end. It has come to a conclusion. You know, people going their separate ways, people really, you know, those situations dissolving. If this had been somebody who just wanted to keep their options open, then again, that idea of being very alone, kind of losing interest in that idea of playing the field, as much as they are out there seeking, they're not finding anything of substance. And thoughts are going back to what has happened in the situation with you. But there's a recognition here with this, you know, kind of this Nine of Wands, this Wounded Warrior card. There's a recognition of self-sabotage, but at the same time, not really being able to kind of maneuver their way past that. Not really being sure with these two pages here, the Page of Pentacles and the Page of Cups, if what they have to give by way of an apology is really sufficient to kind of change the circumstances substantially, or if this is something that, you know, is just kind of, they're just meant to sort of go forward and sort of live with this this very hard truth, this very kind of harsh reality of what has happened. They feel to be somebody who's on the beginning of a cycle of change and growth and evolution. But again, with these two pages, there's a long way to go before they have something measurable to kind of offer and to sort of provide. It does feel that there's a lot of kind of fantasy, a lot of thoughts about the untapped potential, about what could be salvaged in this situation, what might be able to be changed in the future. But it feels like something that is, it's kind of remote remote, it's very distant. And in the present circumstances right now, they're fighting a lot of fears within themselves, a fear of having really run from, you know, the best thing that had come into their life, the best thing that had happened for them, and kind of this fear of the future, of what that might look like. Somebody who's starting to really understand some of the gravity and the weight of the consequences of choices that were made in this situation, and almost feeling very intimidated by that, very helpless in that energy to be able to really make any sort of moves in a measurable way, other than just kind of continuing on the path that they have really walked at this point in time. They may be in the process of kind of cutting away or starting to realize as well certain cycles, certain kind of limited patterns within themselves that, you know, the heartbreak that they have kind of inflicted upon you and you know, in this situation, it feels that they are starting to really be shown how these kind of behaviors or this decision to run from this connection rather than, you know, sort of open up and be vulnerable and maybe talk about that they weren't ready for this level of commitment, you know, that they were intimidated or confused by the intensity, by the nature of what they were really feeling in this circumstance. There's a sense of coming into this recognition that by hurting you, they've hurt themselves. There's a lot of heartbreak for how they've conducted themselves in this situation, wishing they had made a different decision. Again, maybe that feeling they'd chosen the wrong option, or wishing that they had chosen to approach this situation in a different way, wishing that they had done something different so the two of you might have even remained friends, because as they're seeing it right now, it just almost dwells in this element of kind of potential that feels very unreachable. It feels very remote. It feels very much like a fantasy thinking that in some way this situation could be kind of remedied. There's a fear of moving back towards you as well, or reaching out even to just offer something very small, because of almost the damage that has been done. A bit of avoidance at this point in time, you know, continuing kind of on their path forward in order to avoid kind of recognizing fully face to face sort of what has happened in this situation, the pain that has been caused to you in this situation, the pain that they have caused to themselves as a byproduct of all of this. Feeling very small in comparison to that, very helpless, not very, you know, capable or certain in terms of how to really maneuver through this at this point in time. And so just kind of almost continuing through the motions, continuing down the path that they have laid for themselves, feeling that, you know, to kind of get to the root of whatever inside of them, this element of kind of immaturity, maybe even fear of commitment, that sort of motivated their conduct in this situation in the past. It feels very difficult to really extract that, to really face that, a lot of fearfulness that is associated with that. And so it feels that they're just sort of continuing down the path that they have been walking up to this point in time, because to do anything different, they feel very lacking in that sense. It feels like a challenge that they are not prepared to really engage in at this point in time, or something that they really question their ability to succeed in. It's a sense of almost not wanting to make matters worse for themselves and in the situation with you, and so just continuing along the path that they had carved out for the two of you. So I'm going to get some oracle cards to get a little more clarification about this for you, group 2. Okay, we've got partnership, fifth dimension, intuitive communication, you are connected at the soul level, and involution. So this idea of involution and partnership really does confirm the idea of some kind of a third-party situation that is imploding. It's really kind of falling apart from the inside out. And it is leaving this person with this sinking realization of a wrong choice having been made. This can even relate to the partnership that they have to the wounds and distortions within themselves. Maybe this was people pleasing. You know, the idea of kind of an opposites attract situation where they were very kind of concerned or motivated or moved by what would people think about this connection? You know, how would the two of you really fit into one another's lives? Looking at things from a 3D level and kind of ignoring this, this higher calling at the soul level with this fifth dimension card. Of the ability of love to kind of transcend obstacles and barriers in a 3D sense, that they had not put their full faith in that in the past, and had maybe just, you know, even chosen to run from you, run from the connection, kind of close things off with few explanations, or to not take a chance or move in the direction that their heart was really calling them. And that decision, choosing the path of fear, allowing these internal wounds to really navigate and motivate them. Again, the bottom has really fallen out on that. It has imploded on that, and what they are really left with is almost this sinking reality of the partnership that they have created with this very wounded and distorted aspect of themselves. Something that has limits, something that is not fulfilling, something that is almost, it feels like on a level they're very consciously aware that steps they have taken in this connection and that they continue to take pull them further and further away as kind of time goes on, from their higher calling, from kind of the true nature of the direction that they should be headed in. There's a sense of detour with this, a lot of internal work that is needing to be done as well with this idea of involution that they may be avoiding at this point in time. You know, kind of still in this energy of almost projecting blame outwardly, rather than and kind of running from their shadows, rather than kind of seeking to understand these things more fully and to create some kind of harmony or partnership with that, avoiding that internal work, and feeling very much at sort of a limit. The idea of fifth dimension ties in with this kind of feeling very out of reach, that it's almost easier to just continue along the path that they have carved out for themselves at this point in time, rather than kind of reach for that better version of self, rather than kind of reach beyond their own limits, transcend these barriers and obstacles, and really face the fear within them directly in order to you know, kind of change beyond just even the nature of this connection and the dynamic between the two of you. It feels like a greater call to action, to step into some other version of themselves that requires them to kind of navigate their way through these shadows, to really you know, understand kind of the hurt within them that caused them to sort of inflict hurt upon you in this circumstance. But it feels like something that is a very daunting task. It feels like something that they're just sort of looking at that circumstance from a 3D level, that they don't have time to invest in that. It's too difficult, it's too painful, it's too uncomfortable, and so just kind of trying to gloss over that as much as possible, feeling that kind of rising beyond these circumstances, or again, this idea of immaturity with these two pages here, that there's a lot of growth that needs to be done still in order to transcend elements within themselves first and foremost, which then allows them to kind of provide some degree of transcendence to you in this situation. But at this point in time, as this person is really kind of approaching the situation and themselves as well, it seems to be trying to focus as much as possible on kind of outward distractions at this point in time, and kind of avoiding this call within them from the higher self. You know, these reminders that they get, as far as, you know, a decision that has been made, and kind of the cycle that has been set in motion, the kind of road that they are going down. This idea that there's more out there, there's more to be experienced within themselves, in their life, and even as far as this connection is concerned, but that it feels like something that they don't feel adequately prepared to really endeavor this. They're looking outward and kind of failing to recognize that solution really lies within as well. So I'm going to get a few messages from their higher self and see, what does this person want to tell you at this point in time. they say, I feel like I don't know who I am anymore. So this can really talk about this idea of kind of the distance between sort of where they are at right now in their life and what they are being called toward on the soul level, on the higher self level, in terms of this connection, in terms of their life in general, the choices that they have made, and kind of the circumstances that they find themselves in, you know, the people that they had chosen to invest in, even this element of choosing the path of fear and where that has really left them, that it feels like a daunting task. There's so much to do at this point in time to really extract themselves and dissolve these patterns within. A lot of growth that needs to take place, and definitely somebody who's on kind of a precipice of change, the very beginning stages of some kind of a journey of change, but feeling very inadequate in that regard as well. They also say, the distance between us is killing me. I long to hear your beautiful voice again. So at this point in time, it feels that they almost could really use your words of wisdom, but are too afraid to reach out, knowing from the higher self level, and maybe also literally based on what has happened between the two of you in the past, that change is necessary within them, that they can't come back empty-handed. There needs to be something that they are able to provide or to show or to demonstrate that will motivate you to maybe open your heart to them again, to really hearing them out. If growth is possible in this situation, it feels like something that needs to really happen within them first and foremost. There is a longing, there is this desire, but again, it feels like a very, with the idea of distance here, a very remote possibility that the situation can be remedied as far as they are seeing it, and also this recognition of a lot that they're needing to kind of clean up and repair in their life in order to bring change into the situation with you. And they also say, time has brought me clarity about us. I made the wrong choices. So confirmation right there of the road that they had chosen to travel down was not the one which was best suited to them in the long term. Everything, every action, every choice, you know, it can be looked at as a learning experience, and that you know, there are no wrong choices. There are sometimes detours, but we always have the ability to course correct at any point in time. And it feels like that is where this person is at right now. They're really having to recognize what they have invested in, how this has fallen apart, how the bottom has kind of dropped out of these things, and that is providing them with this opportunity, this kind of template at this point in time for change that needs to happen internally, change that needs to happen within, repair that needs to happen within themselves in order to be able to, you know, repair their life in a larger manner and to be able to repair the situation with you potentially in the future. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name if you were this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got O, I, L, Q, J, X, N, T, and F. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I've also started a second channel here on YouTube. It's called Lady of the Dawn Tarot, and there's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format there is a little different from here. I do pick a cards as well as general energy check-ins, but the topics that I cover are related to spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out, and I thank you for your support in helping my new channel to grow, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the green calcite. So I'm going to start with some tarot, and then I'll clarify with oracle cards, and let's see what's going on with your runner right now. What's going on in their emotions and their mental space and their life at this time. Okay, we've got the Page of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The Moon, which is Pisces and Cancer. Four of Pentacles, which is earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Six of Pentacles, so more earth energy. Judgment, which is Scorpio. And Knight of Pentacles, so more earth energy. So this Page of Wands really speaks about activations, and it's tying in for me with a lot that has been stirred up from the subconscious within this person with the moon here, some tower moments that they have gone through, some kind of revelation that has come to them, a spark or an epiphany about something that may have been very elusive within them, some kind of wound within, an inner child wound that had really contributed to kind of what took place in this connection, and in a broader sense, kind of some themes in their life at this up to this point in time in terms of romance, partnership, and intimacy in general. With this Four of Pentacles here, with this idea of the onion, it feels like layers that are being peeled back as far as this person's healing journey. And it ties in as well with the Six of Pentacles, really gifting themselves the opportunity to kind of peel back the layers on coping mechanisms, on some things maybe from childhood, early kind of disappointments in love, distortions within them, things that had been templated within them by other people and their experiences that had caused them to almost be limited or closed off in a certain manner to intimacy and partnership in a very broad sense. Something which in the circumstance with you in the past had really perhaps motivated them to run from this connection, being in such close proximity to almost a new opportunity in love, or a different type of experience in love than what they had had up to this point in time. It really required them to kind of dislodge or to address within themselves blocks and barriers to fully receiving that. And so this feels like something with this Knight of Pentacles. This has been a long time coming. It's something that this person is starting to very patiently and slowly peel back these layers within self. There's almost a lightness that is coming through what might be some very heavy lifting in terms of shadow work, things that they're being confronted with, uncomfortable truths that are not so easy to deal with, things that are really stirring up from the subconscious, these epiphanies and these aha moments of kind of circumstances from their past they thought they had been over, or that they had gotten over, but that are in fact still very fresh, very tangible wounds within them. And they're starting to really connect the dots between ways in which they may have been hurt in their past that resulted them to in turn kind of lash out and inflict disappointment, sorrow and hurt upon you in this situation. It's the idea of hurt people, and that this individual seems to be in this process of really facing these shadows, really starting to dig very deeply into their own kind of personal box of hurts and wounds, and that the more that they are coming to this this place of awareness about these things, the more it is giving them kind of perspective of their conduct up to this point in time in this connection. Things about you that might have been very triggering for them, that they are now seeing as really just being the signpost to something within themselves that was unhealed. With all of this Pentacles energy, this is really talking about kind of being very methodical, being a little bit cautious in this regard. This is not somebody who's, you know, diving headfirst into this shadow work and is very eager about this. This is something where, you know, it's unknown territory. There's a fear of the unknown that they are really kind of battling with, that is causing them to almost tiptoe into this element of kind of solving and coming to terms with these things within themselves. And it also feels that they have been so accustomed to this heaviness and almost this very unconscious current of sort of disappointment or pain or distortion that has been kind of running beneath the surface, that as they are experiencing kind of alleviation from that through understanding, through clarity, through recognition, it's almost like they're not accustomed to not feeling so bad within themselves, and that there's a little bit of skepticism as far as that is concerned. They're a little bit hesitant to fully embrace that feeling, fully embrace kind of the process of healing, the restoration, the sense of wholeness they are discovering within. It's new territory for them. It's the idea with Judgment of almost feeling more empowered, and like there might be a chance to do things different, to kind of repair the situation with you in time one day. Also in terms of, again, this kind of this undercurrent of heaviness or distortion that they've been carrying with them, there's a sense of recognizing very consciously that alleviation, that perhaps moving forward they don't need to be operating from the same kind of lens or the same sort of preconceived notions that they have had up to this point in time. But they're not yet certain if this is something that's lasting, what the nature of this is. It's almost kind of like they're trying to be very methodical and sort of picking all of this apart. Is this safe to lean into this? Who are they without all of that kind of heaviness of the distortion weighing them down? You know, kind of almost being guided into the healing sort of journey, perhaps through a particular teaching that they have come upon, something that has really resonated with them, that they are starting to explore, they're starting to learn, they're starting to really, you know, pick up kind of the jargon and sort of the terminology with these things, putting some of these practices into play in their reality, but that it's they're tiptoeing into this. They're not fully investing in this. They're not fully kind of certain with what they'll find within themselves. They're not fully certain about the changes which are taking place. A lot of that feels to be, as things are kind of falling away or moving away, and they're slowly kind of rebuilding these elements of themselves, building a new narrative, building a new story. There's a hesitation of if this is trustworthiness. Is this the right path? Is this the right kind of approach to this circumstance, or this kind of dealing with this almost deficit or void within them, with a lot of these wounds that have been kind of just rattling around and causing their behavior and their actions in certain ways in their life and in terms of this connection, that they're not quite certain if this is the remedy, if this is what is necessary to create a sense of wellness within themselves, which then can potentially in time lead them to making some kind of restoration in the circumstance with you. There does, in terms of the connection in general, feel to be a bit of hopefulness that is starting to arise within them. This idea that as much as they have been running from this connection, that kind of the more they are sort of becoming healed and restored within themselves, it's starting to illuminate for them that how they were viewing the situation and their actions that they've taken up to this point in time in the circumstance and the results that has yielded, that these things are not set in stone, that it is possible to build in a different direction with you potentially going forward. But again, there's a bit of hesitation or guardedness with that. It's very, with the idea of Page of Wands, it's still kind of this immature, it's still at this beginning stages. This person they aren't decided fully if this is a dream worth investing in, if it's something that's reliable. They feel to be in almost a very kind of a delicate state where they are trying to avoid kind of inflicting upon themselves further hurt and disappointment, wanting to do things right, wanting to kind of rebuild in a different manner within themselves. So kind of just allowing themselves to sort of barely scratch the surface of what is possible in terms of restoration in the situation with you, but really putting that focus on self, building that restoration within self first and foremost, or at least leaning into that process, allowing themselves to be kind of drawn in the direction of that process as kind of a first step, as kind of laying that foundation internally to be able to return towards you or to reach out with some kind of an apology, some kind of an explanation, something that balances the scales in this situation from somebody who has been kind of running from you, running from themselves, running from this situation. They're now starting to really face and kind of feed their own sort of needs in a way, not so much looking outside of themselves for solutions and for that kind of the filling of the void within, but this is someone who's really starting to kind of do that work to prioritize wellness within self, which then, kind of ripples out to kind of the state of wellness of other connections, other circumstances, other kind of areas and factors within their life as well. So a healing journey that this person is on, it's kind of at the beginning stages, but it feels that they've already made some progress here, but they're a bit uncertain as far as it's not really entirely clear with the moon here as far as kind of what the end result is of that, if this is something that's just another temporary solution. Is this something that holds a bit of permanence? Is this reliable? Is this, the path that they should be embarking upon? But there is a consistency with continuing to kind of show up and invest in whatever this process is of facing these shadows, looking within, kind of riding these waves and the storms of what are coming up, or something that has really come to their attention as far as a restorative process, a healing process, some kind of practice in order to create wellness and wholeness within themselves. So I'm going to get a few oracle cards to get some clarification about this for you. Okay, we've got compassion, fresh start, new opportunity, release the past, this is your second chance, and reflection. So that idea of reflection really ties in with the moon and facing some shadows within themselves. Things that had been unaddressed for quite some time, some inner child wounds within. This is starting to really peel back those layers, to turn that gaze inward where they may have really been projecting outwardly for quite some time, placing blame, failing to accept responsibility. The idea here is really this kind of bringing bringing full circle all the kind of deficits and the things that they have been not addressing within themselves up to this point in time that have kind of led them on this cycle of running. They're starting to really create wisdom out of these things. They're starting to really kind of see the bigger picture of this. They may be tasked at this point in time with self-forgiveness work first and foremost, bringing themselves more into a state of wholeness and balance before they are able to make amends with other people. But it's something where, this idea of fresh start, that ties into judgment, where it's almost, there's a pensiveness here as far as, can they really trust this new sensation, which is very different from the heaviness and kind of the projection that they were used to really experiencing before, that they're not quite certain, they're not quite sold on that idea if this is kind of the remedy that they've been looking for. Someone who may have been very used to kind of externalizing, gratification, or looking for kind of outside things to help distract them from the work that they needed to do within. As they're sort of leaning into this very slowly, very delicately, they're starting to feel different. They're starting to feel this lightness within them as they are doing this work, as they are learning new coping mechanisms, as they are really sitting with themselves in their raw authenticity. And it feels to be an important first step that they have embarked upon. They are several steps into this process. This isn't just someone looking at the crossroads and saying, should I or shouldn't I? They've taken some step in a new direction, deeper within themselves, creating that wholeness within, which then facilitates the possibility of being able to create restoration with you in this connection in an external sense in the future. The idea of compassion ties in with this kind of slow moving energy of pentacles, that it feels very timid. They're very uncertain about this. If this is something that they are even worthy of self-forgiveness, feels to be a major kind of theme here, that this is new territory that they are leaning in toward, needing to forgive themselves for how they have shown up in connections, that tying into forgiving others who may have left wounds within their heart, that just kind of in a cycle, in a chain of like hurt people hurting people, they're starting to kind of gain a different sort of perspective about that. And as they are sort of working through some of these issues that they have held within, stemming from other experiences or from their childhood, it is helping them to kind of move into this place of being able to kind of be that sort of apology in motion. Through kind of creating a different landscape within themselves, a different vibration within themselves, they are then nearing that place of being able to kind of repair and restore some of the damage that has been done in relationships with other people, other circumstances in their life, and also as far as potentially kind of starting to make their way back towards you, discontinuing this element of running by looking inside first and foremost in order to be able to create that foundation to step into a different version of self, so that what they can bring forward to you is a fresh start, rather than sort of looping around in the same kind of cycles and patterns that the two of you had encountered up to this point in time. So I'm going to get a few messages from their higher self now and see, what does this person want to tell you? Group 3. Okay, and they say, your silence feels safer to me. I don't want to get hurt again. So this can really tie into and reinforce that idea of feeling very cautious, feeling very vulnerable at this point in time. They're entering into this new territory of alleviating a sense of heaviness and burden that they have carried with them for quite some time. They feel to be very much in kind of a fragile and a vulnerable state, not yet prepared to bring something forth to you, because there's a confidence that is needing to be built within themselves first and foremost. fear of rejection may still be an issue. That may have been one of the things that caused them to sort of run from the connection initially, even. Somebody who, would rather kind of sabotage a situation rather than open themselves up to disappointment or being abandoned in the future. And they also say, being away from you hurts like hell. I didn't realize it would be this difficult. So running from you has not provided them the solutions or the alleviation to this ache that has been sitting with them even prior to having encountered you that they hoped that it would. They may have been definitely confronted by that in a lot of other ways in their life recently, a lot of other kind of tower moments, things that have happened. And really starting to recognize that they've been running for a very long time from a lot of things, embarking upon that healing journey to really sort of deal with those wounds, to quiet those wounds and that sense of kind of heaviness and aching and pain that they hold within themselves as a first step, rebuilding themselves in order to potentially rebuild something with you in the future. They also say, you were my sanctuary. You were the only person I could confide in, and I betrayed your trust. So that ties in with this idea of compassion. They may be struggling to forgive themselves at this point in time for how they behaved in the past, taking you for granted, choosing to kind of move along the path of fear to respond to the wounds and feelings within themselves that they weren't good enough, or that things, romantically speaking, always end up kind of toppling in the end. And so they may have taken steps to, just kind of run from this, to distance themselves from you, to dismantle this connection in some way before they themselves could be left high and dry. Through this process of kind of peeling back these layers, these motivations within self, it's a very, feels like a lonely journey at this point in time, but something that is very necessary. Seeking the sanctuary of, a relationship with spirit, some kind of a teaching, some kind of a practice that is helping them to really self-soothe at this point in time. This is also an indication of starting to recognize that the time apart is very necessary, so that rather than kind of looking to outside sources, to you or to other things to kind of fill that void within, this is really speaking about someone who's starting to take those first crucial steps toward, kind of filling their own cup, being their own sanctuary, becoming that love that they have been seeking outside of themselves. And at that point along the journey, then it becomes more and more possible for change to happen in a measurable way in the future of this situation, by first and foremost kind of creating that change within themselves. So I'm going to get some initials. This can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got T, G, D, S, L, U, K, J, Q, and Y. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I've also launched launched a second channel here on YouTube. It's called Lady of the Dawn Tarot, and there's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format there is a little different from here. I do pick a cards as well as general energy check-ins, but the subjects that I cover are related to spirituality, wellness, ascension, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out, and I thank you for helping my new channel to grow as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.